Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game Colchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur. I'm sweating my anyway off, but anyway, let's get into the show. Welcome everybody. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and we have in the house resident guest Mike Hotspur Hustler and Stuart Gallup, and we're also welcomed by a new guest to the show, David Bilsby from David's TV on YouTube. Welcome, gentlemen. Are we okay? How are we doing?
Good.
Yeah, mate. All good.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Bar the heat, which you've already pointed out, it's it's good.
Exactly. My bottle of water is very minimal because I've just been drinking water all day. 3-0 to the Spurs today. A decent performance. Let me just put a little bit of a thing going across the bottom. Colchester United 0, Spurs 3. Son 11 minutes, more 40 minutes. Dele Alli after 38. Decent performance. I'll come to you, Mike, first. What did you think of the game? How did you think it went from a first half performance more so than anything else?
For a pre-season game and following on from our game against Leyton Orient, I thought I think as we said off air, the intensity looked like it stepped up a notch tonight. I thought we started brightly. As you'd probably expect, I think we're pretty much in control from start to finish. But I think the most important thing, not so much the performance itself, but it's the fact that the players got more minutes under the belt. They looked sharper. They even looked fitter. And when you sort of add in certain players' performances like Skip, who I thought he's going to be a great player for us. Give us. It may need a season just to sort of get used to the Premier League, but he's definitely going to be one for the future.
100% agree with that.
I think the other youngster, I can't remember if he was playing right back. Paxton.
I can't pronounce his name.
No, I can't.
Pascozzi.
He's going to be he's another player.
18 years of age as well. 18 years of age.
He's already international as well, isn't he? For
Estonia. He is. That's Estonia, isn't it? Yeah. So when you add them, that young lad, John Scarlett, who took, even though he was offside, he took his goal.
That was brilliant.
Incredibly well for a 16-year-old on the volley.
17 now. We'll give him.
Is he
17
now?
He's 17 now.
Oh, okay, we'll give him another year. But I know there's been fans, and I know we've been in group chats and stuff, and there's been talk about where's these youngsters? We haven't got nothing coming through. If you started watching the friendlies, etc., like tonight as well, and it's clear to see that we've got talent coming through the ranks. I'm excited. I know it's Colchester, and you have to take it into consideration, etc., but. These young lads, they look half decent. They look half decent. So
the biggest thing for youngsters, and I think this goes for most players, is consistency. You know, if you can have put together 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games back to back of consistent level, that shows you can play at a decent level. Pascozzi, for me, has shown in 2 games he's played at a level, regardless of whether the opposition is Colchester or Leyton Orient. It's the level of consistency that I want to see. For me, Noel John didn't start the game, so he came on in the second half. Probably, maybe should have started, I think, but it was really, really good to see Oliver Skip play. He just looked like he just come off, just come off the plane. I'm just going to put my boots on and play football. That's what I like. That's the sort of level I want to see from a player who was injured towards the back end of last season, but just came into the team today and just did what he had to do. Kept it very simple, but effective. Simple and effective football. Stuart, I'll come to you next. Before I come to you, David, what did you think of the game? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, echoing pretty much what Mike says, a really sort of positive display for me. Some really nice sort of glimpses of Skip back. Like, if he'd broken his metatarsal, he said, didn't he, at the end of last season. So to come back from that and get ready for the game tonight and then put in that kind of display in that first 45 minutes just shows what Skip's all about. And I think he's got such a huge future for us. And he was doing a couple of Spurs interviews and stuff today that got put out, and just the way he talks, he's very sort of level-headed and very focused, and we need more of him. And I think with him, Scarlett, Tankanga, there's a few of these lads that I think are going to be really great for us. So that was great to see. And then obviously Mora was fantastic again. Son, Bergvin, unlucky not to get a goal himself, but just that interplay, especially to the first goal, was fantastic. And the interesting thing is that when they did the little training video earlier in the week, the focus of that session was 1 and 2 touch football. Going up the pitch.
Yeah,
and
you can see that
worked a treat tonight, and you saw it being implemented in the game. So, that's great to see. And like Mike said, that you can see that they're getting fitter, and they're the fittest I've seen them since being under Mourinho already. You can just
see that already, can't you? Yeah,
and just their build and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I always judge it by the players that I looked at last season who I didn't think were at a level of fitness. So Bergwijn, he looked a little bit overweight last season. He looked like he was carrying, a bit of the weight of the world on his shoulders as well. Didn't look happy. I can see already in the 2 games he's played, his levels of fitness have improved. He definitely played a lot better in this game than he played in the last game. And that's what you want. You want to see progression from a player like that who has to prove himself this season. If he's going to be a top quality Spurs player, has to prove himself. I thought he did well. David, welcome to the show. Your thoughts on the game? Welcome. Your thoughts on the game?
Echoing what the other 2 lads said, really, the fitness levels look fantastic. I thought Lucas looked very sharp. He had the first time ball for the goal in the Leyton Orient game, and it was very, very similar again today. And he's someone who Spurs players have deemed dead wood, which I think is very harsh. He's always given 110% when he plays, and hopefully that goes into the season. A lot of the youngsters have impressed me. I watched the interview with Tanganga after the game, and his mentality seems in the right place considering the horrific injury he had last season. And then Niall John, you mentioned earlier as well, another youngster who's really, really impressed considering I didn't know a whole lot about him before coming into this preseason. Dane Scarlett, obviously the expectations growing on him, and he's taking it really, really well. So overall, really, really positive. And I hope that this is, bearing in mind, obviously it's preseason, as you said, it's only Colchester, but I hope this quick-paced, quick decision-making football is what we can see. It's the dream that Paratici sold Daniel Levy for Nuno's time at Valencia. And that looked very positive, and it seems like already we're showing glimpses of that, and we're not even, a whisker into pre-season yet. So,
sorry guys, the interesting thing I noticed about Scarlett in the second half was, I don't know if you remember that part where I think Parrott managed to get clear, and he had a run on goal and twisted a bit, and then sort of Scarlett had made a little run off to the left to get in some space, and Parrott turned and had a shot instead, and you could tell that Scarlett was having a jab at him afterwards. And that's what I like to see, because he doesn't care. He knew that was a good opportunity, and he's like, "Give me the ball." So he's not trying to sort of just be quiet in games. He's being loud, and I think that's what we really need. You need to be arrogant a bit.
Scarlett what's what I'm looking for. He was at fault for a couple of them as well from himself. Like there was a couple of occasions where he's took that shot. The option is to pass it, but Troy and Scarlett, they've both got that. They obviously watch Kane, because
you can tell.
It would never pass. Kane would never pass. These guys, I think they're following suit there. But I thought it was. It's positive all round.
They're both so young in their development as well, in terms of those 2 strikers. This is the time where they can afford to be a little bit more selfish. They can learn to shoot from different angles, pass the ball from different angles. This is the time to experiment in your development. So when you do come into the first team, you're making those instinctive passes and those instinctive runs, and it's second nature.
No striker. It just needs to be the attitude side. His attitude to the game is fantastic. Because again, he did that Spurs sort of little bit of content earlier on with Skip and Whiteman, and just the way he's speaking already at 17 is just
so mature.
And they all look like they're enjoying it, don't they? I think that's what Bergwijn. I think that's the difference with Bergwijn. Tonight, he looked like he enjoyed himself, and I think the whole team as a whole looked like they enjoyed it out there. And I think that's probably different to the time they had under Mourinho. To obviously. A lot of them may see this as a fresh start, a chance to impress the manager, and
it just seems to be a more positive vibe around.
It does.
What I was going to say about the strikers, just sorry, David. Just what I was going to say about the strikers. There's no striker that scores 20 plus goals that's non-selfish. They have to be selfish. That's part of the makeup of a really good striker. However, it's decision-making. Decision-making at times is where you can really decide who is going to be top draw and who's not. For instance, when you're trying to shoot through players when there's 2 players in front of you, not the right decision. When you've got one-on-one opportunities and you can beat your man and get your shot off, I want to see that all day long. And Scarlett, for me, even though his goal was offside, it was a fantastic take. One touch, straight in the back of the net. And that shows for me, that's quality. That's quality you want to see, regardless of what level it's at. The one-touch finish is what you want to see in the box. Brilliant. Let's just say a good evening to our guests who are watching. So that's Sam Hurl, Ricky V, you're welcome. Cody Matt, welcome to the show. We've also got in the house, we've got David Hutchinson, Paul Brown. Thank you guys all for watching. If you're new to the channel, haven't left a comment, please hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button. It helps us immensely. It doesn't cost you a penny. Just smash that like button if you can. And it will get more and more likes and we'll get more and more content out to you as soon as we can. Guys, I just want to put up something with regards to the starting 11. So this is what we had today. 4-2-3-1 system at the start. We had, as I said, Piscozzi, Carter Vickers-Dyer, Omole, Skip and Winks in the midfield, Lucas Dele, Bergwijn and Son. What did we think? And I'll come to Mike first because I know we've had a bit of discussion. What did you think of the performance of Dele Alli and Winks in particular?
I actually thought they were pretty solid. To be fair, I thought Dele in particular. I thought he was decent. He's looking fitter. He's looking. You can just tell in his physique. He's obviously been working hard during the summer, and there's nothing negative I can say about Dele's performance. Winks just does what Winks does, doesn't he? Like,
not a lot for me. Well, that's anyway.
Yeah,
I'm being a bit harsh on him, but that's what
he didn't have a bad game. Right? He didn't have a bad game.
No, and you're right. He didn't have a bad game.
But it's just when you see him again, when you see him alongside players like Skip, who's 5 years, 6 years younger than him, it's night and day. It's night and day.
It's hunger. Yeah. I think he. I don't know. He may have lost his way, or he just needs to change.
Whether it's a loan or a permanent deal, I think he needs to move on.
The only thing in that 11, the only thing I would say is Whiteman. He needs. I don't know. I wouldn't be comfortable with him playing in any domestic cup game or Premier League. I know he's young. But
I think he needs a loan.
He needs a loan. Yeah, he does.
A good loan deal.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, if we get this deal over the line with Galini, and obviously we still got Hart there, and Lloris to come back. If Lloris doesn't go before the beginning of the season, then I don't think we'll see Whiteman in any way, shape, or form in the first team. And I think he probably will be better off going on loan. I'm going to come to you next, Dave. Go on, sorry.
I just saw pop up on Twitter a little video that Galini had just spoken to reporters in Milan saying, because he'd just done his first part of his medical, saying that he's happy about joining Spurs and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a matter of it being on the Spurs website, I think. So that's good to see.
I'm going to come to this comment from Cody Mack here. Thank you very much, Cody. Why do you think Ndombele has not yet been involved? Do you think he's on the block? Stuart's got his hand up, but I want to get David's opinion first. Right, then you could go next. Dave, what do you think of that?
I think it's down to the similar thing when we had the first lockdown. I think it's individual fitness. There's no doubt he's got ability. He's got to work on his physique. I had a conversation with somebody earlier, and they said if he had Sissoko's physical attributes, he'd be one of the best midfielders in the world because he's got it individual in individual moments, but it's not consistent and he's not fit enough. I think it's primarily down to working on individual fitness first because there's nothing he hasn't got ability-wise. It's clear everyone to see. It's just not consistent.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think there's anything sinister. I really don't believe there's anything sinister in this at the moment.
I don't either. It's far too early to come for that.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get his fitness up. I think he's probably knows his level. He knows he's a very, very talented player. And I think he's probably getting them as fit as possible so that when we come to those games, as I said, later on down the line, when possibly MK Dons, possibly Arsenal, possibly Chelsea, before the City game, that's when I think we'll see Ndombele. I don't really think there's anything sinister in it, but Who actually knows? We never know.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything sinister in that. I just think I do think, as David mentioned, I just think it's individual fitness. He's just got to.
Well, if you look at the players that weren't included today, that we all thought would be included today, like Doherty, Reguilon, Ndombele, I think that they're all on very, very intense fitness regimes 100%. In the training.
Completely agree.
It makes sense.
They'll do whatever their tactical sessions are, and then they'll be doing some really hardcore other sessions individually. And I think these first 2 pre-season games are being just used as recovery days for them. So we've got another week before MK Dons, and we could well not see them then, because it could all just be that they're on a totally different path to a lot of the other players around them. If we're playing with wing backs, Reguilon and Doherty are going to have to be going up and down the pitch all the time.
Non-stop.
Neither of them can do that based on the fitness of last season. And on Dembele has to be a box-to-box midfielder to be the best out of him. And he can't do that based on his fitness. They all need to be up so much higher. So I think that's where they're at. I think that's why they're not around.
The mileage that those boys cover in a game anyway, like you say, they're probably on some sort of individual fitness plan to get them up to speed to the levels of fitness that's required for the roles that they'll be.
If you don't see them against Arsenal and Chelsea, then you can start thinking something's going on if they haven't been sold by then anyway.
But I also believe that I think Nuno knows those players. He knows Doherty well. Yeah. I think he's already seen enough of Ndombele to know he's a player for me. And Reguilon's the same as well. So I don't think he needs to see them players. There's a lot of other players he needs to see. He's particularly playing a lot of youth. So we've seen the likes of Piscotty. We've seen Niall John. We've seen Dane Scarlett coming. We've seen all the Whitemans, the Jack Clarks. These guys need to be seen to know whether they have got the ability to step up. We haven't seen Ryan Sessegnon yet. Another one who's in our setup. Again, nothing too sinister to look into that. I just think he wants to see the players that are maybe on the fringe who has got it. I already think now he knows that Dane Scarlett has got it. Whether or not he's going to play enough games, not quite sure. But I don't think he's going to go out on loan. I think he'll be in and around the squad. Troy Parrott is one that I don't know.
He's only 19 though.
He's had some.
Let's be honest. When Kane was his age, he was going out loan to Norwich, Millwall, and I was one of those players. I was one of those fans who was like, I just don't know if Kane's going to cut it. And then fast forward 2 seasons, you wouldn't think that, would you? So
it just needs to click, and I think Parrott will probably go out on loan again. I think Scarlett will be kept within the first team group, but I think Parrott will probably go out on loan again. I think.
I've had problems with Parrott's recent loans, though, in the sense of he's not looked settled. He's not had a lot of game time. You compare it to Skip, who I've got a few mates who are Norwich fans, and they've said they were devastated when Spurs said that he wasn't going back there for this season. Absolutely devastated. And you look at that with Troy Parrott, everyone's like, well, we're not really bothered if he goes back off loan or not. You know it's a good loan if the club are going to miss them when they've left. Hoffenheim with Sessegnon, all right, he was injured for a bit, but he made an impact. Foyth, who ended up being sold, was one of Villarreal's best players last year. Troy Parrott, at that kind of age, the club should be going, we definitely want you back next season, and talking to Spurs in March, April time, not at the end of the season going, well, we're not really bothered if we get him back or not. It's a little bit worrying.
It is. A lot of younger players, though, you either get players who, like Harry Kane, who want to make it. They're going to do everything they can to make it. Then you have some really talented players that think, I've already made it because I'm a professional, I've signed a pro form, and then they don't take it onto that next level because they don't put that effort in. Football is a continuous process. You cannot take your foot off the gas in a proper team like what we've got now, with others around you who are putting the effort in. You can't just coast. You can't coast as a footballer in this game.
It's so competitive. You blink and you've lost your space.
Yeah, 100%.
Even in the under-23s group, we've got people like Atete, a couple of the other guys who are banging in goals left, right, and centre already in their game. So we have got a lot of really great forward talent, and I think it's the guys that have got the better attitude that are going to win out on that. I think.
Yeah,
I mean, on that actually. Someone was talking about Winks earlier, and something I've noticed with him, probably since the final season at the Lane, his general body language in game seems to have deteriorated massively. It doesn't look
Very
like he wants to play
inward,
for Spurs anymore. Bearing in mind we're all Spurs fans and we'd do anything to be in his position, and he doesn't look like he's really bothered anymore. And it concerns me when you've got so many central midfielders, and already if Sissoko or Winks go, Paratizi's already looking at bringing in someone else. There's so many competitive spaces. Realistically, you have to say his body language and his attitude when playing at the moment, he's one of the last on the list.
He won't do himself any favours these first 2 pre-season games.
Definitely not.
Paratici's been at both games. You know, knowing Hojbjerg, Lo Celso, and Ndombele, all these guys are coming back. Skip. How's Winks fitting in there?
He's not.
He doesn't.
We've got Hojbjerg. We've got Hojbjerg to come back in that midfield. You know what I'm saying? There's so many. Looking back last season, we was like, we haven't got any midfielders, central midfielders. Now, when you think
all of a sudden they've all come at once,
they're all there now. So I'm thinking to myself, there's competition for places, particularly when you're going to have a long, hard season that we are going to have.
Yeah.
You are going to want to be able to use some of these players in the UECL, not the UCL, the UECL. So you're going to want to see some of these youngsters playing that. And I really hope they use all the competitions to at least give us the opportunity to see, are we going to put our money on this player? And I really said, I was going to ask a question of each of you. Who do you think really stood out tonight? But I'm gonna say for myself, Piskotski. I think for him to play 2 games in a row at that level shows me at 18, there's a reason why he's now in the Estonia squad and he's playing that level of football, because he's definitely got that ability. Now, if he plays the next game and starts and plays again like that, I think we've got a player on our hands there. Mike, who stood out for you?
I agree with that as well. I think he looks. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a regular next season in the first team. I do like him a lot. Skip obviously stood out for me. Who else? I would say I thought Dane Scarlett had a good game. The only thing I'd say about him is he just looks a little bit lightweight. There was a couple of times when the Colchester defenders, almost like they went through the back of him and they've sent him flying. But he'll just have to learn to deal with that.
He's bulked up so much though since last year, even a couple of months ago. So I think he'll just grow into his body.
He will have to. But yeah, Bergwijn as well. I thought he had a very good game.
Yeah, good point. Bergwijn did play well. David, who stood out for you then?
For me, Lucas, considering he played everywhere and all sorts of positions and all sorts of times last season, he was very quick. His decision making.
Mike's gone off. Oh, he's gone silent. We'll come back to you in a minute then. Get your mic back on. He's not back on.
No,
we'll go to you then, Stuart. Who stood up for you whilst we sort out the microphone for David?
I think just because of the circumstances of having, a pretty tough injury at the end of last season, coming back from loan and all that, Skip just hit the ground running. He just didn't look as if he's Skip to beat. Do you like what I did there?
Yeah, I like that.
Good old pun.
He just looks so comfortable. He looks so comfortable in high level football. So, and that pass that he did to Bergwijn, oh my God,
on the volley as well, isn't it?
Incredible. And his movement is brilliant. He's always looking for the ball. He's always looking to go forward. So to have every time I think about him working with Hojbjerg, it just makes my mouth water because it just could work so well. I just hope in a way that because we've got Dele, Ndombele, Lo Celso, we've got to try and make that work somehow with all these guys because something's got to give. And it really wouldn't surprise me with Paratici, the way it seems to be working is he will see an opportunity with either Dele on Ndombele or Lo Celso that we could utilise them in some kind of other deal. I really do think that because how can we fit? I know you want a good squad and good depth, but you've got to have balance, and that's the very one of those guys isn't going to want to sit on the bench all season, but one of them's going to have to. 2 of them are going to have to.
100% going to have balance.
That's where your rotation comes in, though, doesn't it? Because if we're
fighting on, get that. There's a lot of games, but it's about them accepting that, and I don't think any of them would. That's the problem.
What also we have though is you've got to remember if Nuno's going to be this manager that's going to have a bit of tactical flexibility with different formations. We're going to need different players who have different attributes to be able to play in different formations. You know, if you go into a 3-5-2, it's a different style of setup than you got for a 3-4-3.
It's a great problem to have. It's a fantastic problem to have. And this is why we're looking to see the fitness levels of some of these players. Because I could see Hotspur and Skip playing in the 2 in midfield. I really could. Because I think they've both got ability to go forward. Obviously, Hotspur had showed that for playing for Denmark in the European. So, again, Skip just looked like he was coasting around the pitch to me. But it was effortless coasting. And that's the level of football you want to see. David, we'll come back to you because I just wanted to ask you who stood out before you went on mute.
I mean, Mike's playing up. Lucas, Skip definitely, although obviously having friends that watched Skip a lot last season, I had high expectations. Bergwijn for another one. When he's on the right-hand side, he looks completely clueless. He looks one-dimensional. When he's on the left, where he played tonight, the difference has been completely different. He looks more comfortable, which is odd because a lot of the time he played on the right for PSV. So it might well be that training with Son, copying his kind of style, that might be a bit more for him. Niall John was another one. You spoke about the Europa League conference rotation. If you said to me right now, based off pre-season currently, who would I rather play in that midfield for the Europa Conference League, Niall John or Harry Winks? I'm probably going to edge to Niall John alongside the right experience because he's shown... I'm trying to be, but do you know what I mean? He's shown a confidence and a fearlessness and an ability level that makes me say, well, what have you got that Harry Winks hasn't got? You've got everything he's got, and you've got the work rate and the mindset, and there's more potential with your age there. It's a no-brainer. Tanganga, I know Colchester didn't have a lot of chances, but positionally he looks really good. And again, with his injury last season, he looks fitter as well.
Yeah, he's a bit rusty,
a little bit shaky, but he did grow into the game. There was a couple of times his positioning was really well later on. But like you were saying, Stuart, he was a little bit rusty at the start. But I think that's just for the fact that he was brought on at half-time. He just got to... You know what I mean?
He's not played for a while properly as well.
Isn't he?
But the only thing I'd say about Tanganga is he's never going to make it as a centre-back in the Premier League. He's too small.
Do you think?
Nah, I can't say. I honestly, I think he'll get eaten alive if he plays centre-back for Tottenham against certain, especially the teams that are probably more direct, which I know is going to come further down the league. But I just don't think... I just wouldn't be comfortable with him. Even in a back three, I wouldn't be comfortable. For me, if he's going to make it for Tottenham or play in a top 6 team, etc., I think he's got to be a right back.
I think again, it all comes down to what happens with
too small. He's too small for a centre-back.
If we get rid of Aurier and it ends up being just Doherty and then someone else, look, it could be Tanganga. But then if... Pastossi.
That's a lovely name to pronounce, isn't it?
Carries on the trajectory he's on, then he might end up being the backup, or we might Tomiyasu, if we sign him, might get actually deployed as a right back. It all depends on the formation as well. I hope Tanganga has...
It's a big season for him. In my eyes, it's a big season for him.
Although the European Conference League, none of us really wanted to be in it, I think for this season, it could actually end up being a massive blessing in terms of getting a lot of experience for the younger players and the fringe players.
My only concern about Tanganga as a long-term potential right-back is when we have watched him play, offensively, he hasn't got the same technical ability as what you need if we're going to be playing such an attacking, progressive system. That's my only worry.
Though, is he?
That's the problem. He's not a natural right-back. Yeah, he's not.
That's why I say, do we look to loan him then? So he's potentially, we can see the best of him at centre back, the best of him at right back, and then make a decision next season because he's still so young. It's too early to make a decision to say actually he's not definitely going to make it, but he needs to play every week.
We could make another mistake that we did with 1-4. At 1-4 for game was a very whether 1-4 would have made it in the Premiership because of the way the Premiership is physically. I'm not sure, but he certainly was a good player. And obviously proved that when he went to Villarreal and did what he did there. That's why they've taken up that option to get him. But I think Tanganga is robust enough. I think what you're saying is right, Mike. Whether or not his long-term future will be at centre-back because of the height, because I think with keepers these days, it's the same thing. You have to be 6'3", 6'4" to be a really top keeper. I know you've got the couple of minutes.
How old is Yaffet now? Is he 20?
He's 20.
Yeah, I think he's 20.
He's 20. But I mean, these guys, they're still so young.
But if he comes up against a centre forward who puts it about, who's great in the air, even if Taganga's, he's just going to get eaten alive. So that's why I think
it'd be interesting just to see whether they utilise him out wide or in the other cups and stuff this season, maybe. Because
would you say
that could be the time for him to develop?
Just to say then, Stu, on top of that, would you say then that he could fit into a back three potentially?
I think there's so many options with the back three scenario. Because
I think he could.
As long as you've got a really solid leader in that, maybe in the centre of that three, I think Rodon could play on the left side of that, and then you could have a Tanganga and then either Doherty or Tomiyasu out on the wing. I don't know.
It really depends. I think it really depends on who he's coming up against.
We're not looking like we're playing a back three at all at the moment.
No, it's not.
And you know what it is? I think he already knows how to play a back three. I think for Nuno, I think he can fit them pieces in because we've not seen the likes of Rodon. We've not seen the likes of Ben Davies come back. Obviously, Alderweireld, we're not sure what's happening with him. Sanchez, again, we're not sure what's happening. So there's other players that might not feature. But I do think
that if that was the case, Sam, that it was just waiting for those guys to come back, surely the better approach would have been to start in that formation and just utilise the players you've got, just so because whoever's going to come in behind whoever the first team is, they need to know how to play that system. But it doesn't look like we're playing anywhere near that system. It looks like a 4-3-3 in some way.
What I will say to that is when you are trying to. There's certain players that can play in the back three already. We know that Ben Davies can. We know that Rodon can. We know that Sanchez. We know Toby. They can all do that. Some of these younger ones, Carter Vickers, I've never seen him play in the back three. So I don't think you'd want to try and experiment.
We've got to get rid of Carter Vickers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's had so many terrible loans now. He's been on our books for ages.
He just doesn't look like a player at all.
He's not a Premier League. Unfortunately for him, he's not. I don't think he's a Premier League player. He was very good for Bournemouth. And I think that's his level. Championship. He was quite a few games I saw him at Bournemouth, and he was very, very good. But Premier League, so
isn't his contract out next year as well? Isn't his contract out next year as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know it's. I thought it was this summer, but the fact he's training with us obviously not.
Well, they're trying to get him out this summer to get any kind of money out of him, aren't they? I think.
The other thing with Tanganga, you mentioned him potentially being good in a back three. If Ben White's going to Arsenal, Brighton play a back three, would that be the best place to see him develop, even as a squad player there? Because then we can actually see it's a very possession-based system. It's a very attacking-based system at Brighton. We can see him in that role. Brighton in replacement for Ben White going to Arsenal. No, I'm not. I've got a death wish. And then we can actually see because Lamptey, particularly at Chelsea, when he was at Chelsea, people said, "Oh, he might not have enough to make it technically as a right wing back." He's been fantastic, and we were linked to £50 million signing for him. Yeah. Some of the defenders that Brighton had last year, I'd never heard of until middle of the season when all of a sudden they were playing top quality football. They were a 20-goal a season fit striker away from finishing mid-table. Their position didn't reflect the way they played at all. Maybe that's the right kind of club to look at and say, can you develop him?
Especially with Potter there, he would certainly develop someone like Tanganga.
100%.
I think it depends what the priority is, doesn't it? Because if we're going full on for the Premier League, whether that's top four or above, I think the likes of like Tanganga and maybe even I'd like to see Rodon start more games. I do think he has got the right attributes and stuff. I think you play all those guys in the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Conference League, because then we know we're not going to tire in the Premier League. But with Nuno's past, he does like to play a very stable team. He's not like Mourinho where he's stopping and changing the bloody back four every week. I don't think we're going to see that. So I don't know. I think there's probably going to be, as we all know, there's going to be lots of going out over the next couple of weeks. I think loans, sales, everything. Yeah,
you can bet your bottom dollar. Sissoko's another player. I mean, he's never coming back. No, he's done.
I'm amazed Oye was back in training
for that as well.
I think Skip's put. I think if you look at tonight, you could probably say Skip sealed his fate at Tottenham.
Yeah, absolutely. You
just got to find someone foolish enough to buy him.
Well, last summer, last summer with the preseason Skip had as well, it looked really promising. But everyone was like, is he going to be physical enough? He looks quite thin. He doesn't look like he's got the physicality. He's gone on loan for a year, and that's arguably going to be the best decision we've ever made in terms of his career. So potentially, if there's other players that fit that mold, it's not about as many loans as you have. It's about getting the loans right. And that's the one thing I'll give Mourinho credit for. I personally like Mourinho, and I know a lot of Spurs fans didn't. That's the one thing people can't argue. His loan moves last year were absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on for all those players' developments. So maybe, you know, Parachiti, his experience, maybe he can get the right club to grow some of those players. Because as you said, we've got so many options. If Nuno is going to play a stabilised 11, then realistically, those outside of the 22, 23, 24 man need to play regularly if they're to come back and give us a headache like Skip has this season. You know, we've got to learn from the things that we've done right as well as the things we do wrong. And the low moves is something we've got bang on.
I'm just gonna say to the viewers watching, just in case there's a bit of a lag maybe on my stream. Apologies for that. I just also want to give a shout out to those new viewers that are watching. Paul Brown, welcome. Derek Hutchinson, welcome to the show. Who else have we got? Talk MU. We have Raphael as well. Thank you all, guys. Phil Ambrose again. Thank you for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. We've got so many people watching now. If you all hit that like button, we'll be up in the stratosphere. So just smash that like button whilst you're watching now. I'm going to come to all of you just for your closing thoughts then. Just tell me what you thought, and I'm looking forward to the next game. So I'm going to start with you, David. Just your closing thoughts.
Honestly, it's optimistic. It's a lot more positive than when Nuno was initially appointed. I kind of took the approach of it's going to be who it's going to be, and that's that, because of how many managers we failed to sign. It's looking more positive. Still a long way to go. But with the transfer signings we've had confirmed in the last few days, those that we've potentially got in the pipeline, it's either going to be a fantastic start to a new season or a terrible one. There's no in between, so we've got to be optimistic and hope for the best. But so far, so good.
Spurs don't do in betweens, do we? Stuart, what's your thoughts? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too stressed after the Leyton Orient game. It fulfilled its purpose, and the one tonight did it even more. Another great sort of performance by a number of players. Looking forward to seeing sort of, what we do against MK Dons in the next week. We'll probably have another couple of players in by then as well. We're already starting to see some of the so-called deadwood get sold, and Lamella being the first one out. So we might hopefully see a few more over the next week or so. So for me, at the moment, I'm really pleased with how things are going. There definitely seems to be a good positive momentum building up now, and I think if we can keep that going, I'm going to the Man City game, so I'm getting more and more confident we can actually compete in that game. What are you
going to have to do from that Man City game? You're going to have to do a live straight after the game when we do the reaction. I want to see what you're going to say.
Signal in the place.
Mike, closing thoughts.
I probably echo both what David and Stuart said. I'm quite optimistic. When you go back to where we were when we got rid of Mourinho just before the cup final, no manager, it was dragging on. We then had that rigmarole of being linked with certain managers, going through talks, then falling down the wayside for whatever reason, to where we are now, whereby the Leyton Orient game, like Stuart said, it served its purpose. To where we are now tonight, again, it served its purpose, but I think we've certainly sort of taken it up a notch in terms of players' fitness, the intensity, etc. I hope it continues. It'd be interesting to see what happens against MK Dons next week. But as long as Tottenham continue to progress, improve, and show signs of, I suppose, encouragement for fans to be optimistic, then I'm quite comfortable. I'm certainly not.
The fans seem to be totally different now as well, doesn't it? Like there's all the stuff where they're going over to the fans, like when they've loads of the players went over to the fans after they've been subbed off, and they're obviously doing pictures.
There's already
very different.
Yeah, there's a different feel factor within the squad. You can see it already. Like players are going off having interviews. Like Nuno, I think what he's done so far is he's tried to repair, and then probably I think Paratici and Daniel Levy, they've probably all sat down and probably discussed, right, we need to repair the damage from from the players' side to sort of repairing it with fans, and we've got to interact with them more, etc. But I'm struggling to see sort of any. I haven't got anything negative to say at the moment. There's signings coming in, players going out. It's what we wanted as fans. So
100%. I'm just going to come to this comment here from Nippon. Sharma looks like he's a Chelsea fan. Do you think Dane Scarlett could be the next Harry Kane? Well, Nippon, just to let you know, we're actually doing a show tomorrow where we talk about some of our young stars. So maybe if you tune in, you'll get to find out what some of the views are with regards to. Do you like that one, gents? Do you like that?
That was good. Yeah, that was good. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
And also, I just want to do a bit more plugging of our shows that we've got coming up. Look out for this. This is on a Tuesday, usually Monday or Tuesday. Definitely going to be on a Friday. Sid says, talks all transfers. I think Mike's going to be appearing this Friday with Sid to talk about transfers. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff going on with Spurs at this current time. And also coming up into the season, when we get into the season, we'll have our new member, Judge Jody, who'll be doing the player ratings for the games that we'll be playing in the league. And hopefully we'll get a lot of more people being able to give their opinions on what they think the players are doing in the actual game itself, not just us. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, as always. I might just have actually, we've got a couple more comments here. Let's just go to these. Here we go. We've got Ricky here saying, I'm excited about the season. It's the optimism that kills you. It really is.
Yeah.
Winks, Dyer, Davis, Sissoko, Aurier, Hart all need to go.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on that.
Definitely not disagreeing that.
Yeah.
We've mentioned that those players. We've mentioned those players numerous times. I think the fans in general probably all sing off the same hymn sheet. We all know who needs to go.
I think there's one or two maybe that people debate here and there. Potentially, I think it's more the attacking and the winger options that people kind of debate. But defensively in midfield, it's absolutely clear as day who needs to go, who just hasn't got a place. Even from the minute Paratici came in and the rumours that started coming out, the post-Alistair goal was making, it was clear who was shown the door from the minute one.
Well, surely Hart might be on his way out, because why would you? He's not even on the bench today. We didn't even have a goalkeeper on the bench. I think they're gonna. You know what it is? I think they're gonna wait till they know about Lloris. I don't think they're gonna make a decision on Hart till they know what's happening with Lloris. I just found it strange that he wasn't even on the bench tonight.
I do.
I don't think
he knocked himself out. What would you do?
I think if anyone was going to go out, I think Whiteman will be the one who goes out on loan. I think Hart will probably end up being a third choice keeper.
I don't think
utilise him as a goalkeeper.
I don't think he wants that at all. I think he'll go. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the MLS or something. Hart, he doesn't seem built to be that far behind the scenes. I think he was all right being second fiddle to Lloris because he knew he was going to get some games. But I think if he's going to go behind Galini as well,
I think as a keeper, he's done. I think in top flight football as a keeper, he's done.
I have to echo exactly what Mike said there. I think he's only got a year left on his deal anyway. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he's willing to wait to keep him around just to help the youngsters. Because let's be real, at one point he's one of the best keepers in the Premier League. So maybe that experience and his kind of mindset and mentality, maybe it's worth just keeping around for a year if he's okay waiting a year, just to help the likes of Alfie Whiteman. If he can't get a good loan, having someone almost a one-on-one mentor him, because Alfie Whiteman made some fantastic saves in the last two games, and I really would love him to see back up to the new keeper next season if possible. He's got a little bit of further development to go before he's ready at that stage. Maybe Joe Hart could be the one to help him get there.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to end the show. I'm going to wrap this up now. Just for everybody still watching, thank you very much for watching. Tune in to tomorrow. We're doing a show, as I said, based on the youngsters, who we think is going to be the next star at Spurs. Look out for the next reaction show when we do the game against MK Dons next week. We may even have a little bit of a special at the weekend, depending on if we get all these signings done officially. With lots of rumours going on, lots of things almost there. So we might have another show coming up. But gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. David, before we go, where can viewers find you?
I'm on Twitter, David_Bilsby. And on my Twitter, there's a link to YouTube. I've got a Spurs series that I bring out weekly, football manager stuff, just whatever I feel like doing on there. So there's loads of stuff on there. Just got over 100 subs on there as well. So any subs on that would be appreciated. But yeah, mainly on Twitter, I'm always posting something.
Cool.
Fabulous. Make sure you go
Can't
over
hear you,
to
mate.
David's channel, smash that like.
Oh, he's back again now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you for a second. You went and your lips were moving, but there were no words coming out.
That often happens with me. Go over to David's channel, smash that subscribe button on his channel. Guys, again, thank you very, very, very much. We will see you all again soon. Hope you'll be back on the show, David. It's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Mike, Stuart, as always, we'll see you again soon. And thanks to the viewers for watching. Take care and see you later.
Take care, guys.